Hey darling, Danetha here, creator of Money and Mimosas and the host of the Money Sex Power podcast. And today is one of my favorite days. It is Friday, which means it's time for your weekly money date. And it's time for me to answer 3 of your money questions. If you're new to Money and Mimosas and the concept of money dates, well, welcome. And you can learn more about money dates in this video. It's essentially your time to sit down, review your finances, review your goals, celebrate any wins, and reflect on how you can make a difference with your money. It's a sacred ritual that I practice, and it has created so many it's been the catalyst for so many blessings, financial blessings in my life. So I encourage you to do it as well. And I do it on Fridays because Friday is ruled by the planet Venus. If you're into astrology, you know that the planet Venus governs beauty and abundance. And it's also ruled by the Orisha Oshun. If you're familiar with African spirituality, Oshun is the Orisha who governs beauty and abundance. She is the Orisha who is the governess of the sweet waters and being in the flow of life. So that's why I do my money dates on Fridays. You, of course, can do it on any day. I highly encourage you to do it on Fridays for the reasons that I just shared. Before I answer the 3 money questions that you submitted, I wanted to share a lifestyle tip. You know that Money and Mimosas is all about lifestyle and being in the flow of financial abundance. Because what is the purpose of money if you aren't enjoying life, right? That's why we all are seeking information to elevate our financial situation, right? I know that's true for me, and I imagine that it's true for you. So, with this lifestyle tip, I want to share something from my personal life. I just finished a 10-day sugar detox. Oh my goodness. I feel so good. It was definitely tough, but now that I'm on day 10, today is actually day 10, I feel that I'm going to continue this because my body feels so light and I have such clarity in my thoughts. I'm sleeping amazingly well and I just feel really, really good. So this 10-day sugar detox, I did it because I felt like I had inflammation in my body, which that's what sugar does. It inflames the body. And many of us are actually addicted to sugar because sugar is in almost everything. It literally, it's crazy how many foods and recipes have sugar in it, not just added, mostly added sugar. But for this sugar detox, I also eliminated natural sugars as well. So natural sugars you'll find in things like fruit, for instance. And I eliminated that because I wanted to give my body a full reset for the upcoming months. And I've done this sugar detox before. I felt amazing when I did it then, and I did it this time with my fiance, which was so great because I had a partner to do it with. But even if you don't have a partner to do it with, a friend to do it with, doing it by yourself is just as rewarding. And I did it for 2 reasons. One, like I mentioned, to reduce inflammation in my body. The second reason, just as important, was to deepen my connection with spirit, with my higher self. And so during this detox, I spent a lot of time meditating, journaling, being out in nature, finding ways to ground myself and connect with my intuition, spirit, God, universe, whatever words you want to put to it. I use all of those words because they all mean something slightly different to me and they all resonate. So that was the 2 reasons why I did the sugar detox. And for me, the sugar detox was reducing all sugar. I only allowed myself 2 grams per day of sugar. And it couldn't be any added sugar, it could only be natural sugars. And to give you context, the recommended amount of sugar is 30 to 50 grams a day, to not go over 30 to 50 grams a day. You can certainly do much less than that because we don't need sugar to survive or thrive. And I went all the way down to under 2 grams per day, which meant things like carrots weren't not an option. Brussels sprouts barely made it in. It has 1.9 grams of sugar per cup. That was the exact measurement that I was using, 2 grams per cup. And Brussels sprouts has 1.9 grams per cup. And so my diet mostly consisted of protein and vegetables. Oatmeal was something that I also allowed myself, I could have as well. And oatmeal's really great for lowering your blood sugar. And instead of putting honey in my oatmeal, which I usually do, I just had nut milk and spices. So things like nutmeg and cinnamon. And that was what I've been eating for the last several days. And it feels so good. I've been drinking a lot of water, a lot of tea, of course, with no sugar or honey in it. I don't usually put sugar. I never put sugar in my honey, and I rarely put honey in it, but I had to eliminate honey because that is a sugar. And it has been incredible. The only part that's been really tough for me was eliminating alcohol. You know that I love my mimosas and I love my nightcap. It's my way of closing out the day and basically celebrating a day well done. I'll have scotch on the rocks, or I'll have a fun rum cocktail, or I'll have a mimosa. And I had to figure out an alternative for that. So I drank LaCroix, usually a lemon flavored LaCroix or a coconut flavored LaCroix with some mint, because not only do I like the taste of alcohol, I like the ritual of making a drink. So I had to replace that entire experience with something else. And so I would get a little creative with my sparkling LaCroix drinks and recreate that experience that I had making alcoholic drinks. And the first few days were tough because, again, it's a ritual for me to close my day with some sort of cocktail. And the first few days, LaCroix doesn't really taste like a Mai Tai, but after a while, my body adjusted and I feel so incredible. And I am going to continue this in some form. I'm going to add back in honey, and I'm going to add back in raisins as well. My fiance makes these homemade bars that we eat when we go hiking, and they're kind of like power bars but healthier because they're homemade. And usually we have raisins in them, but raisins have sugar. And so we eliminated it for this 10-day sugar detox. But so we'll add that back in now that we're done with it. And I think other than that, honey and raisins are going to be the only thing I add back in. The alcohol piece, I'm still figuring out for myself. I'm definitely going to reduce the amount of alcoholic drinks I have throughout the week. So we'll see. I might have some fun, festive alcoholic drinks over the holidays. Certainly, I'm going to have my sparkling wine when I do my money date. I have a mimosa during my money date. But other than that, time will tell what I decide to do. So that's a little lifestyle tip. If you're looking for something if you're just feeling a little bloated, a little inflamed, you feel like your gut needs some cleansing, our gut health it's an essential part of our overall well-being. And that saying where they say, listen to your gut. If your actual gut isn't functioning at its highest potential, I do believe that it impedes your ability to connect with your intuition. Just my thoughts. I know that to be true for myself, maybe something for you to try on for size. So that's a little lifestyle tip. And if you do a sugar detox, I'd love to hear your experience and some of the meals that you created during your detox. And also, I know that detox is not necessarily something that nutritionists recommend. I'm not suggesting that I'm a nutritionist. I'm just saying that this is what I did. We always have to add these disclaimers, right? So just wanted to share that if you're looking for something that can help you elevate your clarity and just feel good in your body. Anyway, those are my 2 cents. Let's hop into this week's money questions. So the first question comes from, let's see here, comes from Sue. And Sue did not share where she was from. Please, when you submit a question, share where you're from so I can I don't know. I love connecting with folks, and that's always fun to know where you're coming from. So Sue says, "Hi, Danetha. So glad I found your site. What a ray of sunshine. I have a quick question. Where is a good place to park cash now? I am saving for college for my 3 kids, trying to determine the best place to put cash to save for 2 to 8 years down the line. Thanks very much, Sue." Great question, Sue. And there are a number of options when it comes to parking your cash to save for your children's education. First things first, I do want to highlight that college tuition within the United States is absolutely absurd. And yes, this is a political message because as if you are living in the United States and I hope you are active in your own politics, I highly recommend getting involved in this aspect because tuition across the board has been increasing. It's hyperinflation, seriously, in the college tuition space. There are some schools that their tuition over the last 10 years has increased 300%. Compared to inflation, which is 2%, compared to the increase in wages and salaries, which is only 0.3% per year. That is absurd. And so I want to preface my answer with starting with that because it's would be imbalanced for me to jump right into tips on how to save for college without addressing the fact that our system is predatory and it's unsustainable. So first, that's the first things first. If you want to dive more into that information and have exact steps on how you can get involved in bringing this attention to our congressmen and women, you can check out my video on student loans. I interviewed Alan Collins, who is the president and founder of the Student Loan Justice Organization. It's been around for over 15 years, and their whole mission is to reduce tuition and eliminate some of the atrocious regulations around folks who have student loans and their inability to pay them and how it impacts their credit. So I'll link that video if you want to dive more into that information. Now, to answer your question, Sue, directly, the best place to park savings for my 3 kids. Well, several options, and it all depends upon your tolerance for risk and how much you think your children are going to need for college. So it's tuition that you'll have to pay for, it's room and board, there are books, there are other expenses that pertain to college. And so get a baseline for what that will cost. Again, at the rate that it's increasing, it's challenging to be completely prepared for it, but hopefully times will change and our system will become, in the United States, will become more of a level playing field in this area. In the meantime, best places for you to park your cash. I'll go from least risky to more risky. We've got high yield savings accounts. So that's your typical savings account that you think of. However, high yield savings accounts have a higher interest rate attached to it than traditional savings accounts. So traditional savings accounts usually have 0.6% interest versus a high yield savings account, which can be anywhere from 1% to 2.5%, maybe even 3%. And so look at high yield savings accounts first. Again, those are low interest rates still on a high yield savings account. So you aren't going to make a ton of money, especially in 2 years. You'll make a little bit more over 8 years. However, if you have a low risk tolerance, you know that whatever money you put into that savings account, you're at least going to get back what you put in. And ideally, you'll have a little bit more that comes back to you from the interest rate. The other option are money market accounts. These are similar to high yield savings accounts. However, they usually have a higher interest attached to it. There is usually a minimum deposit amount associated with money market accounts. So check with your bank, see if they have any options for you. Credit unions are also a fantastic place to park your cash. I highly recommend credit unions, in fact, because they give back to the local community. So check with them, see what their money market account options are and the interest rates associated with them. Similar to a savings account, whatever you put in, you're going to get back. So it will, there's no risk associated with it, and ideally you'll make more than what you put in there based on the interest rate. So those are the two least risky options. Other options that you may want to look into are educational savings accounts and the 529 plan. Now, these accounts are based upon the stock market. So essentially, you put money into these accounts and they invest within the stock market, so stocks, bonds, and whatever you earn from those investments, that's money that you can use for your child's education. What's great about both of those options is that they have tax benefits associated with it. So, with the educational savings account, some of the pros and cons associated with it include you can choose almost any kind of investment, so stocks, bonds, mutual funds. You have the ability to use the ESA for primary and secondary school, not just college expenses. Some of the drawbacks are that the money must be used by age 30 for the beneficiary, and you cannot contribute more than $2,000 per year per child. And there are some income limitations associated with the ESA as well. With the 529 plan, the pros of using a 529 plan include there's no annual contribution limit, so you can put as much money as you want into that account. There are gift taxes associated with 529 plans once you go above a certain threshold, depending upon who's in office and what's going on with all of that. There is no age limit when it comes to the 529 plan, and you can use the money for non-educational expenses. However, there is a penalty when used for non-educational expenses, but you are welcome to do that. The 529 plan and the ESAs are investment vehicles. So you're investing your money into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and with the hope of being able to make some money off it so that your child can use it for college. Now, with that information, know that any investment comes with risk. You may not get any of your money back. That's highly unlikely. However, there is that potential. But with that, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. You have the potential to have a much higher ROI than certainly a high yield savings account or a money market account. The other advantage is that it's similar to a Roth IRA in that the money that you put in is already taxed, and when you withdraw it, there's no taxes associated with it. So those are a few options for you to look into, Sue. I hope that is helpful to you. Next question. Next question comes from Kat, and she asks, how do I improve my money mindset? Oh my gosh, Kat, one of my favorite questions. And I wish you had shared a little bit more about your current situation in your question so I could have some context. For those that submit questions, please share a little bit more about you, just so I can have some context. I like to personalize these questions as much as possible. When it comes to improving your money mindset, I say that there are 3 areas that you can look at within your life to elevate your money mindset. 1, the people that you're surrounding yourself with. So friends, family, be sure that they also are proactively working on their abundant money mindset. And if they're not, limit the amount of time you engage with them because it will impact your pursuits of elevating your money mindset. The second thing to look at is the information that you're consuming. So just like you want to be mindful of the friends and family, people you have around you, you want to be mindful of the types of information that you're consuming. You want to consume information that is uplifting, empowering, and puts you in a state of inspiration. Now, sometimes we can go overboard with that and completely divorce ourselves from reality. Definitely stay in touch with reality. Ensure that you're still in touch with what's going on within your own country, within the world, because an abundant mindset does not mean a denial mindset. We are aware of what's happening in the world, and with that information, we choose to have an abundant mindset. And so stay aware, stay informed, at the same time, seek out inspirational content. And then the third thing I would recommend is reciting money mantras to yourself. I have an article on moneymimosas.com entitled 7 Powerful Money Mantras to Attract Prosperity. Read it, check it out. It also has some background on where the word mantra comes from, what it means, and it has some mantras that you can recite for yourself. So I hope that's helpful for you, Kat. Thanks for asking the question. I love it. Love, love, love those questions. Thank you. The next question comes from Mary, and Mary is from Georgia, and she asks, how do I pay down debt, save, invest, and still enjoy life? I'm a recent college graduate and trying to do my best to be financially responsible. Well, congratulations on graduating from college, Mary. That is a huge accomplishment, and you should be so proud of yourself. And I love this question because this is something that many of us are consistently trying to find our own balancing act. It's something that I try to find my own balancing act with, and it really just ebbs and flows depending upon the season of your life that you're in. So the first thing I would recommend is doing a weekly money date. So download the checklist that's linked in the comments below, in the description below, so that you are aware of where you are financially. That's the first step when it comes to determining how do you balance saving, investing, and enjoying life. You want to know where you're starting, and you want to be grounded in your own financial reality. The second step you want to take is to get clear on your own financial goals. So the amount of money someone saves versus how much they invest versus how much they spend to enjoy life really depends on what their current financial goals are. If your current goal is to save for a house, well, then you'll be putting more money towards saving rather than enjoying life. If your goal is to start your own business and to build financial freedom as quickly as possible, then your money will likely go more towards investing within your business, perhaps investing in other investment vehicles because that's your priority. And then if your goal is to enjoy life because you just finished college and you want to explore the world, explore other avenues within your life, then more of your money is going to go towards that. None of those options are better than the other. It's just about getting clear on what your current financial goals are, and looking a little bit ahead too, because it's one thing to be clear on your goals for the next 6 months, but then you also want to look ahead a year, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years from now. Where do you want to be? It's tough to look very far ahead, as COVID-19 has taught us. We have to be grounded in the present moment while also keeping in mind the future. However, there's only so much that you can plan for, right? So I like to keep my financial planning to less than 3 years, usually a year at a time. And really, when it comes to business, at a quarter at a time. So when you're thinking about balancing all three of those, one of the more popular rules of thumb is to use the 50-30-20 rule. So the 50% rule is for your everyday expenses, your rent, food, things that you need to survive. Then 30% goes towards enjoying life, and then 20% goes to saving and investing. So use that as your baseline and then adjust according to your own financial goals. So if you have big goals to around saving, then you want to adjust that 20% to 30%. So you'll want to flip the 30 and 20, or perhaps it's closer to 40%. Maybe you reduce that 50% for your everyday living expenses to 30% because you want to put more towards saving and investing or enjoying life. I hope that's helpful to you, Mary. Thanks so much for asking the question. If any of you watching have a question that you'd like me to answer in one of these money date videos, be sure to submit your question either by leaving a comment below or by submitting a question through the link that is provided. Also, wanted to let you know every Sunday I have a newsletter that goes out. This week's newsletter has a lot of awesome money tips. So one of the articles is how to become a passion investor. If you love jewelry and fine art, I go through how you can invest in those items and make some money off of it. So passion investing is one of the articles that'll be in this week's newsletter. We also have an article about how to start a life coaching business. So if that's something that you've been thinking about, you feel like you have a knack for helping others, I've got a thorough article on how to launch that. And in this week's Money, Sex, Power article, there is an interview that I do with Catrice Jackson for the Money, Sex, Power podcast. Catrice Jackson is America's #1 expert on white women violence. And we talk about how white women have been perpetrators in economic injustice, particularly against Black, Indigenous, and women of color. So definitely check out that article, listen to the podcast. Catrice Jackson is an incredible woman. Her work has been described by white women who work with her as students as a spiritual experience. She has, her work is basically an exorcism experience for white women who want to get rid of the toxic whiteness that lives within them and prevents them from truly showing up as economic allies for Black women and women of color. So sign up for my newsletter. You can do that using the link below. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, share it with a friend, and I will see you next week for the next Money Date video. Bye.